Overwatch has been a massive success, no one can deny that. Blizzard not only created a new IP, but just like the World of Warcraft, they may once again find themselves to be the king of a genre. That's right, Overwatch might be on track to become the biggest first-person shooter of all time. Today we'll be taking a look at how and why this is happening, and what Blizzard needs to do to assure the game's continued growth. Now I realize if I'm gonna make a claim like Overwatch might become the biggest FPS of all time, I should back it up with some facts. And what better facts than cold hard numbers? While Blizzard hasn't released sales figures for the game, they have mentioned their player count on several occasions. 1 week after launch, they touted 7 million players. A few months later, that count jumped to 15, and now it's apparently 20. 20 million players for a brand new IP just 6 months after its launch. But that number in a vacuum probably won't do much for most of you, so let's put it in perspective. Taking a look at the list of top-selling video games and then isolating first-person shooters, we see that Overwatch is currently the 4th biggest FPS franchise, behind Call of Duty, which averages 20 to 30 million sales per game, CSGO with a reported 26 million owners, and Battlefield 3, which sold 20 million copies. You may notice though that we're comparing apples to oranges. Yes, Overwatch's 20 million players does not equate to 20 million sales, but it does give us a ballpark figure. According to Blizzard, this number counts anyone who's played the digital or retail version of the game. This means the 20 million players include multi-user households, internet cafe players, and likely people who purchase multiple copies. With that said, I can't imagine that there's a drastic difference between the total player count and copies sold. My conservative guess would be that they've sold around 15 million copies. This would mean there's still a whopping 5 million people playing the game who don't own it. Either way you look at it, sales or total player count, the numbers are impressive. And it hasn't even been a full year since release, so that's just gonna go up. But how did they do it? What made Overwatch this big? Well, I like to point to 4 major factors: polish, character design, Blizzard's marketing, and accessibility. Let's get started with polish. From graphics to gameplay, Overwatch runs and looks like a dream. I've said it time and time again, but it bears repeating. Blizzard nails polish in every one of their games. Whether or not you agree with their design decisions, philosophies, or the direction that they've taken their games, there is no denying Blizzard's ability to make a game that feels great. StarCraft, Hearthstone, Diablo, all some of the best playing games in their respective genres. And Overwatch is no different. Moment to moment, fight to fight, it's a blast to play. Graphically, they continue their tradition of a cartoony design that's meant to stand the test of time. And while this is the most modern game that they've made in terms of its fidelity, it still maintains that bright and over-the-top aesthetic that Blizzard has become known for. And then we've got the character design. This is a game that had hordes of fan art before it even released. People became intimately attached to characters like Tracer, Winston, Reaper, Soldier, hell, all of them to be frank. Some of them got a little too intimate, but we don't need to go there in this video. Their look, their backstories, their personalities, Blizzard made characters that people cared about. And if you make characters that people care about, they're bound to care about your game. And then of course we've got the Blizzard marketing machine. Money. They've got loads of it. And it's obvious. When Overwatch launched, you couldn't escape it. Ads were everywhere, on every YouTube video, Twitch stream, hell, even on TV. That sort of marketing practically guarantees tons of sales regardless of game's quality. It just so happens that Overwatch is a good game on top of having that huge marketing push. And along with the marketing, we've just got Blizzard's ravenous fan base. People like me will pretty much play any game that they put out, but there's a reason. It's because, as I mentioned, Blizzard always makes games that are insanely polished and feel great to play. And it's that sort of consistency that keeps people like me coming back to their titles. And then finally, we have the accessibility, which frankly I think is one of the biggest reasons for this game's success. Many people in the hardcore community will rail on Overwatch, calling it a shooter for babies, pointing to the art style, ultimates, characters that require little to no aim, and large hitboxes. And while all of this is accurate, it's also important to realize that it's these very things that are likely to make it a bigger game. It simply caters to a wide array of skill, and as such, a much larger audience. Accessibility goes a long way in terms of a game's growth. Look no further than the MOBA scene. League of Legends is bigger than Dota 2. 2, despite being considered by most to be the more casual game. You're right, it probably is more casual, but that's also why it's bigger. And it's not an assault on your favorite game or hardcore titles that something less skill intensive becomes more popular. It's simply the way of things. There's a significant number of people out there who take gaming less seriously than you or I. They don't play it as often or as intensely, and games that are easier to get into and play do better as a result. So those are the reasons I feel that Overwatch has become as big as it is today. But what does Blizzard need to do to ensure continued growth? Well, the biggest thing is simply continue to support it. As we mentioned earlier, titles that get replaced every year or two, like Call of Duty or Battlefield, eventually see their numbers stagnate and decline because people like to play the new version. Whereas a game like CSGO or League of Legends or Dota or Overwatch, if they get continued support over the years and major updates and improvements, their audience will continue to grow. Post-launch, we've already had one new hero with a second expected very shortly. We've had 2 seasonal events with loads of new cosmetics. We've had 1 new map with 4 apparently in the works. A new game mode is also expected at some point next year. Adding more content and features at a similar pace to this is going to get people talking about the game, writing articles, making videos, streaming more often. It'll get it back in the public eye and likely get new people to join in. At the end of the day though, Overwatch is a game that I love, and that's why I'm very happy that it's done so well. Yeah, obviously I make these videos and this is my job and I make a living off of it, but I'm not personally invested in Blizzard. I don't have stock in the company. I'm not the head of a board or anything along those lines. And if this game eventually died, I would move on and play and cover something else, but I don't want this game to die. I'm happy that it's been successful because I love playing it, and I really hope Blizzard really keys into that they've got something special here, and if they support it properly over the future years, it might be one of the biggest FPS games of all time. All right, everybody, that is gonna do it for me here today. As always, I wanna thank you all so much for watching. Please let me know what you think about this video. It took me longer to put this together than I expected, but hey, hope it came out all right. Thank you all so much. Hope you have a good afternoon, and until next time, I'll see you later.